What's up, guys? Here with you with FC Wonderkid, episode 101. Here with my guy, Preston. How are you?
Hits different when we're in the triple digits. Alex, I am great. I am in Florida, sunny Florida, not oppressively hot Florida. I have a drink not in hand, but down below here. And I am ready to talk some football because, my goodness, we've got the second legs of the quarterfinals approaching, and we've got some predictions on hand. But I don't think I'm any better than Erling Haaland is right now. I can't be. But how are you, Alex? You doing well?
I'm doing really well. You said it. Erling Haaland doing really well too, actually. And that hair is so mystical, okay? Erling Haaland, oh my, he's going bold. And Erling Haaland right now has 47 goals scored. He's the top scorer in every league this season. And Mbappe is in second with 32. There's a difference of 15 goals between Haaland and Mbappe, 47 to 32. And in third place is Rashford with 28. Okay, so that's the top three goal scorers this season. But
well, hold on. I got to ask you outright. You're building a team. Who are you taking right now, Erling Haaland or Kylian Mbappe?
Which team? Any team?
Which
team?
Team? You're starting a team, and you get to pick one as your first player. A team that does not exist. You're building them from scratch. Who do you bring, Erling Haaland or Kylian Mbappe right now?
I'm still bringing Mbappe. I would bring Mbappe. I still think Mbappe has a lot more to offer, but Erling Haaland, in terms of goal scoring, he's unbelievable. The three corridors Mbappe can play, but that is a bold question. That's a bold question because if I'm Man City, though, if it was between Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe, I think Erling Haaland would always be the best decision for Man City because last season they needed a goal scorer in that Champions League against Real Madrid. And now they have him with Erling Haaland. What a game Erling Haaland had against Bayern Munich, beating them 3-0. Thomas Tuchel out of the DF Pokal, might be now out of the Champions League. And in the Bundesliga, he's tied with Dortmund in the first place. So it's not looking good for Bayern Munich. And Erling Haaland, sheesh, not a good opponent.
Erling Haaland, sheesh. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think, once again, the man has desensitized us to scoring goals. Okay, he's just he's just tied the Premier League record. He's 2 behind the all-time English football record of goals in a season, 34. It's Andy Cole and Alan Shearer that he's chasing with that. And he's got 8 games left. But the fact that Manchester City put Bayern Munich to the sword, right? And they were ruthless. I was not expecting that type of incisiveness. I was not expecting that type of merciless kind of just getting it done. And this Man City squad is the most dangerous squad, probably the best squad in form in all the world right now. And if I'm Real Madrid in the next round, potentially, I am shaking in my boots. But listen, about the Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappe thing, Erling Haaland is, listen, what he's doing is he's rewriting the record books, and it's absolutely ridiculous that anyone ever guessed that he wouldn't be scoring goals the way he is. Now, okay, as many as he's scored right now, I'm a little bit surprised, right? Mm-hmm. I expected maybe some hiccups. But the one thing he doesn't have on Kylian Mbappe is doing it at the biggest stage, right? Whether it's doing it in the World Cup, that's a little bit tough because Norway needs to get there first. Whether it's doing it at the Euros, he hasn't done it yet, right? But guess what? He's going to take a big leg up, and he's going to take a big close that gap on Kylian Mbappe very quickly if this man can do it against Arsenal on the 26th of April, and in turn do it in the return leg before that against Bayern, put him to the sword once again, and then, does it in the semis and does it in the finals of the UCL. And I think he's going to do it. I honestly do believe that this guy is laser focused. He is a Norse god. He scares me every time he's on the pitch. And the one thing we always said was his the worst possibility of his transition to Manchester City was what?
Injury.
It was himself. It was injuries, exactly. It was himself, something he can't necessarily control. But my goodness, it's been a great year for Erling Haaland, and I guess we got to get to these predictions because I got some changes.
But Erling Haaland himself is developing as a player, not just physically, but to how he plays, positioning wise. The assist he does to Bernard Silva, like the eloquence of it. Like he celebrated like he scored a goal because that's what it means for him to provide for his teammates. The team spirit. Erling Haaland is putting it up at Man City. And that's the thing with Man City. It's the substitutes. It's the options. Man City have leaders with Ruben Dias, Kevin De Bruyne, and Erling Haaland. 3 leaders in 3 different places on the pitch, and all have key roles. The defense of Man City. Ruben Dias leader with Akanji. Stones having masterclasses. Hake going bold. Like, the options is amazing. Amazing to watch.
It is. And can I interject here because I need to take an L on the expectation that Nathan Ake and Manuel Kanji, aside from defensive cover, I mean, we'll see, but 3-0 in the first leg versus Bayern gives me a pretty good assumption that Manchester City can see their way through to the semifinals. But listen, I was not expecting Nathan Ake to come in from Bournemouth and become one of the best 1v1 defenders in the Premier League. Definitely. I was not expecting that at all, okay? That's where my L lies. I also shouted out that Akanji, they couldn't go far in the Champions League, or they wouldn't win the Champions League with Akanji on the pitch necessarily. And listen, Akanji has been well beyond what anyone else expected, mainly because guess what? He has not been at Manchester City. Exactly. So Manchester City got their physio room right, and Manchester United might want to give him a call to see if there's any mercy over there to figure out why their physio room is filling up and Manchester City's is not. So I think you know where our predictions might be heading here. But my goodness, Manchester City is easily the squad to beat right now. It's unbelievable.
True. And another player that I want to mention here, because in my opinion, he's one of the best players in his position and role on the pitch, is Bernard Silva. Bernard Silva, the eloquence, he's a truly gifted player because he's not about the pace, but he's about the technical ability, which makes him look fast on the pitch. He really is a special player, and he's one of the best doing what he does. 1 goal and an assist against Bayern Munich, and Alphonso Davies couldn't stop him. He was a menace, Bernard Silva. So world-class player and underrated. And Grealish, you said it, he's developing too. So I so much to say. Guardiola, he said bye-bye to Cancelo, and the team spirit now, it seems to be better. So I don't want to say Cancelo was a problem, but definitely that Guardiola is fixing things at Man City, and things have improved. So, we both believe that Man City are going to go through with Bayern Munich. Am I right?
I think you're right. And I'm gonna say this here, right? Bayern Munich made that move at the exact wrong time to do it. I'm not going to blame everything on Thomas. Yeah, the Nagelsmann sacking, it just didn't make any sense. It screwed up squad harmony. It screwed up a lot of things, right? I mean, we all know, we've heard, if you haven't, about the Sadio Mane dust-up with Leroy Sané. Things that Bayern are not in the headlines generally for, aside from the Nagelsmann, Manuel Neuer sacking of the goalkeeping coach. But it's just crazy because, yes, if you take the normally incredibly disciplined, Bayern Munich, and perennially finding their way far into the Champions League, Bayern Munich, I would have thought that they would have never let their guard down that much. But Manchester City is that good. This isn't that Bayern Munich is crap. This is the fact that Manchester City is that good right now. So I do want to say that.
Oliver Kahn made the call to sack Nagelsmann, which will cost 60 million to Bayern Munich if Nagelsmann doesn't go to a coach soon. And Nagelsmann wouldn't have lost the way he did, possibly. And now people are going to point fingers at Thomas Tuchel. But now, this has to be mentioned now because Nagelsmann might be coaching the team. No, I'm joking. No, he could be coaching Chelsea in the future, but Real Madrid ain't doing things easy for Lampard. Right now, Real Madrid 2, Chelsea 0. That was an easy win, in my opinion, from Real Madrid. And Vinicius Jr. is simply unstoppable. Trent and Reece James got destroyed by Vinicius Jr. Man of the match in both matches against Trent and Reece. And he is best Brazilian player right now. Best Brazilian player right now. I got to say.
Hey, Endrick is heating up. That was sarcasm. But yes, Endrick is heating up. He's got 3 goals in 4 games. So go Endrick. But listen, and this is where it gets tough for me, right? Because both of us, I think, agree that Real Madrid is going to get it done. I mean, they kind of embarrassed Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm sorry, at the Bernabeu. I'm sorry. Wouldn't it be a great little turn on the head if like somehow Chelsea were able to pull off the improbable amidst literally all odds, considering they also just lost in the Premier League over the weekend to a very industrious and wonderfully crafted win by De Serie and Brighton. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Real Madrid and Ancelotti are back. They're kind of locked in. They dispatched Cadiz over the weekend. And I really do feel it's almost a sad thing for us, or maybe not, but it's almost a sad thing for us that we are going to have to see Real Madrid versus Manchester City in the semifinal and not in the final outright. Because listen, here's what I'm going to say, and this is a little bit of a departure from what I've said previously. I do believe that in 2 legs, Manchester City can beat Real Madrid and will beat Real Madrid.
Oof, Erling Haaland to get it done. Vinicius Jr. versus Erling Haaland. That will be fun to watch. And even Ancelotti versus Guardiola. It's going to be historical, this matchup between the 2 teams. Oh, unbelievable. But with Real Madrid, Chelsea, like, it's not even 2. I mentioned Vinicius first. Benzema too. Benzema, since national teams, Benzema and Erling Haaland, no doubt in my mind, are the top 2. Oh, wait, Osimhen. Victor Osimhen, Benzema, and Erling Haaland are the top 3 strikers in the world of football since the World Cup. But Benzema, he's absolutely crucial for Real Madrid in the Champions League. If he's not there, they will not get it done. So, and I can say this about Courtois, and I can say this about Luka Modric. Courtois, time and time again, does crucial key saves for Real Madrid in the Champions League. And he reminds everyone that he's the best goalkeeper in the world, ahead of Ederson and ahead of Alisson. The World Cup, that was a blimp. I don't know what happened with Belgium, Martinez, but Courtois really is that guy. And we received information too that Kroos will extend 1 more season with Real Madrid, and then he will retire from football. Great news for the Galacticos. Luka Modric might do the same now. Benzema might do the same. And we now might see Ancelotti staying 1 more season. And they'll try to get that La Liga, definitely, after that. But, I do too believe, just like you, I believe Real Madrid are going to go through against Chelsea. But against Man City... Bretton, I don't want to say it. I really don't want to say Real Madrid losing to anyone in the Champions League. But since I said at the start of the pod, what Man City didn't have was a striker. Now they do with Erling Haaland. And I do believe Erling Haaland is now the new Mr. Champions League since the departure of Cristiano Ronaldo. This is the competition. He can put the gap with Kylian Mbappe. Mbappe can be the best in the World Cup, okay, but Haaland wants to be the best in the Champions League, where he can be the best. So I'm with you.
Yeah, and it's the 2 legs versus the 1 leg. If this was the final, I honestly feel like the pedigree and the long-term tactical genius of Ancelotti, although obviously Guardiola's he's made his fair share of wonderful tactical tweaks as of late. I believe that if it was a one-off and we were talking about Real Madrid and Manchester City in the final, I'd probably put it more towards Real Madrid. I've been there, done that, done the remontada craziness, been at the pinnacle of like insanity and drama, and they've got everybody back to do it, and they've got the pieces. But over 2 legs, I honestly do believe Haaland's going to grate them down. I believe that he's going to wear them down. He might get 3 shots on goal or 2 shots on goal at Real Madrid, but he might put 2 in. And I'm looking at it and I can't bet against the Norse god anymore. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I understand that. So Man City going to the final in these predictions already. We're saying, hey, this is good. This is being very bold. But if Mbappe was at Real Madrid against this Man City team with Erling Haaland, that would make it even bolder, the matchup. So
sure would.
The other side of the bracket, though, we have Inter Benfica, which Inter beat Benfica 2-0 at Benfica's home. That was embarrassing what happened. And I'm speechless. I'm speechless. I'm speechless. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it.
I can tell. And it hasn't been the same since that FC Porto loss at home. It's like somebody simply, the Estadio da Luz was the fortress, and somebody violated that. Because then they followed it up, obviously, with a loss to Chavez. And I don't know. I mean, it's just a terrible, terrible time to have a drop in form. And it might not even necessarily... Well, it is a drop in form. It's a reversion to the mean, potentially. I mean, João Mario has been playing out of his mind for the majority of the season. Gonçalo Ramos has been playing out of his mind for the majority of the season. And I still think with Ramos, there's growing that needs to be done. But at the same time, they definitely have the quality on the pitch and the wherewithal to get this done. It's just they're going to have to do it in Milan.
Yeah, Benfica looked very uninspired. Roger Schmidt, he's a great manager. Tactically, he's gifted. But substitutions, he's got to do the rotation. Like the rotation, Neres has to start against Inter. But what Inter reminded me of the special team that they have, special players. Inter have Barella, Bastoni, Lautaro, Mkhitaryan, Çalhanoğlu, Onana, Dumfries. Inter have so many options, and if they had the better manager than Inzaghi, I am sure they would be much higher in the Serie A table, because 5 consecutive losses in the league, that doesn't show the quality that Inter actually have. And that's why I wouldn't be surprised if Benfica did a remontada in Milan and it went to a 3-2, or even a 4-3 and it went to penalties and Benfica went bold. I'm not going to say I'm expecting it, but I really want it to happen. But I wouldn't be surprised, though. Okay?
No. I mean, listen, Inter just lost to Monza, right? And like you said, their league form is not... It's nothing necessarily to write home about with UCL spots on the line. I think this side of the bracket is where the remontadas are going to happen. And Benfica just needs to kind of catch that lightning back in that bottle that they had the majority of the season, or even some semblance of it, like 75% of it or something. They have the quality to get it done. And that, I already said that, but Inter, once poked, once scored upon, they likely could break. They would break, because I don't think Inzaghi is the coach, that will lead them forward for the next. I don't think this is the project of Inter under Inzaghi. I just don't. Right. So I agree. I do kind of feel like Inter is going to grit it out. So I am going to say Inter Milan. Just because I've watched more of Benfica over the last 3 losses, which is just shocking to me. And it's really hard to kind of bring it back. But I hope they do. I'm with you. I'm going to go a little partisan here and say I really do hope Benfica gets it done, because I would love to see Benfica back in the UCL semifinals. I'd love to see it.
Okay, but we believe Inter are going to get it.
Sadly.
And with Milan-Napoli, I do believe there's going to be a remontada, because now, in the second leg, we're going to have Victor Osimhen. And Kvaratskhelia needs Osimhen. They're the boldest duo together, and Kvaratskhelia needs his partner in crime. Osimhen is the goal scorer and the top striker in Serie A. Top goal scorer in Serie A, sorry. So
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think I'm a little worried that in this return leg, Min-Jae Kim is out.
I think he is too.
But
yes.
Yeah, but I think that they have depth. I believe it's Jorge Jesus. Juan Jesus. who he's been very good at backup. So we'll see. But I think obviously the return of Victor Osimhen is the biggest part of this. And AC Milan, while they've been in much better form, they're vulnerable. They're still vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Napoli's going to get this done. I am with you 100% on the remontada. And I think it's going to be led by Victor Osimhen. And I think Kavicha, I mean, he's going through maybe like the most kind of unpredictable form of his crazy first full Serie A season. And first full kind of Champions League run. But that, if you weren't going to expect that, like, the guy's not a superhero necessarily. No better time to bring that back. I think he needs his partner in crime with Osimhen, because those guys have a connection. And so I think Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia are going to get it done against AC Milan, and we are going to see a Napoli, sorry Alex, Inter Milan semifinal in the UCL
against, and then at the other side, it's a Real Madrid Man City semifinal that we are predicting. But put down below if you agree with us. And in the Europa League, because the Europa League is looking interesting. Juve Sporting. I think Sporting could pull a remontada here in Lisbon and shock Juve like they did Arsenal.
Maybe.
And Arsenal since then haven't looked the same. But Juve, like, they didn't play too good against Sporting, but they did win 1-0. So, do you agree with me?
I think the fact that they're going to the Alvalade, right? That's the name of the stadium. I do think Allegri's little whatever he did tactically against Sporting to just weasel out that one goal. I think Sporting can get it done. So I am going to go with Sporting, and I am going to go with Sporting, and I believe that, well, you probably don't want to move on just yet, but I believe that Sporting will play Manchester United, even with half their team in the hospital. I believe that Manchester United will move past Sevilla.
Oh, Sporting to beat Juve. Ruben Amorim, if Sporting beats Juve in these knockout stages, like, he'll be big time in every top club's agenda. After Arsenal beating Arsenal too, unbelievable.
Have you seen the news about Amorim and actually having apparently a conversation with Todd Bowley and Chelsea? You've seen that? Because that's been circulating. Like Sky Sports, it's been hitting other places. But obviously, they'd be dumb if they weren't necessarily looking at, beyond Nagelsmann, some of the best young managers on the planet. So I'm actually glad that he's just, actually talking to people instead of just, I don't know, on a whim hiring Frank Lampard again so he can take all of this vitriol that must be building up in every Chelsea supporter's, brains right now. My gosh.
What I like the most about Ruben Amorim is this Sporting team with the departures of Matheus Nunes, Pedro Porro, Palhinha. They have good players developed by Ruben. You have Gonçalo Inácio, you have Pote, you have Ugarte, you have Trincão looking much better, Chermiti, Diamant. You got key players that are growing as players. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see this Juve team. That Vlahovic, I even seen news of Vlahovic leaving. Oh my days, this Juve rebuild. Miretti in the future. Gatti. I want to see Fagioli, exactly. Chiesa, what happens with him?
Sule.
Good player. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Juve in the next few years. So
it will. I don't think they should do it under Allegri, but I think they're stuck with Allegri for the time being. But but listen, like Man United.
Yes.
The more I look at this list, like Rashford's likely out of it, right? Garnacho's out. Lissandro, what a blow. Luke Shaw probably out. Rafael Varane. I mean, and then you come in and you give up 2 own goals, right? And one of them literally looks like that meme of Harry Maguire getting hit in the face with a ball, like full time, right? There's a meme that circulated like years ago of Harry Maguire that's exactly what happened. I mean, the poor guy can't catch a break. Like his head is just a magnet for stupidity, right? Hey. And it's I don't mean that in a bad way. I almost feel bad for Harry Maguire.
You gotta feel bad because he is bad for Man United standards. It's true. Harry Maguire doesn't have the standards to play for Manchester United, and to be the captain, even less. Even less. How
Yeah.
could he? Maguire was the captain of Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the greatest players in the history of the game. That happened. In 20, 30 years' time, people will be talking about Maguire as one of the worst signings in Premier League history. And he was the captain of Cristiano Ronaldo, saying it once again. 2 goals suffered in 15 minutes can never happen to a team like Manchester United. Maguire is the reason why it happens. Martinez is fundamental. And now Erik ten Hag has big problems because he didn't go and sign more center backs. It's I don't get it. I really don't get it. But Man United will be much better next season. And the momentum, they'll be top 4, I think, in the Premier League. And they'll go through with Sevilla, I think, too. Erik ten Hag is doing a job, but he doesn't have a bench. Substitutes, he just doesn't have it. And he can't do that the first season. He can't.
Yeah, and let's be honest here. And I agree with everything you said in terms of, like, got to remember, if you ask Manchester, after the beginning of the season that Manchester United fans had, right? Yeah. If you ask them whether or not 3rd or 4th place was good enough and securing Champions League football, I think they would have taken that. Right, I think they definitely would have taken that.
Rashford,
and that's probably player. And Rashford a much better player. Now, whether or not this is just a flash in the pan after a bad season or whatever, that remains to be seen. But let's be honest, he looks different. He looks different, and hopefully that doesn't keep him out. The injury doesn't keep him out for too long. But Erik ten Hag, yes, his squad is not fully complete. In fact, it's nowhere close to complete. Mm-hmm. And some of the guys, like Tyrell Malacia, did not bathe himself in glory in that first leg either. He did not have himself the greatest game. And then a lot of that could be maybe he was promised more time when he came over and he hasn't really gotten as much as he necessarily expected. And he kind of folded under pressure. But if Ten Hag is the guy that we think he is, Ten Hag is the manager that we think he is, I think he's going to right the ship. And there's enough quality there to get it done, even if you got to play McTominay at center back. Probably not going to happen. I'm just kind of joking around here. I don't know if Tayden Mengi's still around or some of these other guys that never got a look. But listen, I think Maguire's going to have a better second leg. I think they're going to get the job done. And Sevilla isn't exactly lighting the world on fire at the moment either. But I could see kind of the one guy I'd worry about is a guy that's pretty capable of scoring big goals, and that's En-Nesyri, right? The Moroccan. The Moroccan striker.
Where is he in the league? Where is he in the league, though?
I'm with you. But, like, that doesn't matter when it comes down to the second leg with a 2-2 tie. And we're headed to where? Mm-hmm. We're headed to Sevilla. And Sevilla, undisputed kings, essentially, of the Europa League, regardless of their La Liga form.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
So we'll see.
So we're in the Europa League. Your predictions are with Juve Sporting. You think Juve are going to lose to Sporting. And I'm a believer just like you. Man United, Sevilla. We both think Man United are going to pull things through against Sevilla away. Feyenoord Roma. Feyenoord 1-0 against Roma. Ken Mourinho's Roma. In the second leg, go bold. I do believe in Mourinho, though. Mourinho in knockout stages. It's hard to bet against Mourinho. So I'll bet in Roma and Mourinho against Feyenoord.
All right. Well, this is where our paths diverge, and this is where maybe I've grown to love this Feyenoord team. I've grown to love this Arne Slot. I've grown to love Orkun Koksu. I've grown to love a lot about this Feyenoord team. So I think it's a really, really tough task to ask Feyenoord to go into Stadio Olimpico and get this done. And I think that's what is going to play into Mourinho's favor. Obviously, Mourinho's pedigree and what he's done. And the fact that guy wants to level up so bad from Europa Conference League winner last year. He wants to go big and get it done in the Europa League too. But this is my first prediction that's going to go with my heart. I want Feyenoord to get it done. I want the storybook. I want the Feyenoord all the way this season in the Europa League.
Yeah, Eredivisie too.
Yeah, and then the Eredivisie too. I mean, they're fighting on multiple fronts, and they're just playing wonderful football. I enjoy watching every one of their games. So
I like that. I like that prediction. I'm not gonna go against it. It's totally understandable with the form that Koksu is going. Like unbelievable. And Jimenez too. And the last game here, it's Leverkusen.
Hold on. Before you just mentioned Jimenez, I do have to give him. Listen, he's a Mexican striker. El Tri, he's going to be the thorn in the side of the U.S. team for probably the next decade. And I just got to give credit where credit is due. I think he's only got 21 starts for Feyenoord this season. He's got 19 goals, 4 assists. He's 21 or something. I mean, Santi Jimenez, everyone always talks about how Mexican players have a tough time transitioning once they get over to Europe. Well, Santi Jimenez just blew that out of the water, and he deserves all the credit for the season he's having. And I think if you can find an ounce of respect for the, the rivals we have below us in the United States here in Mexico, if you can find an ounce of respect, I think there's a lot of U.S. fans out there that are pretty worried about what Santi Jimenez is gonna become, because it might threaten our current form in CONCACAF as it stands. But yes, I'm sorry, I meant to bring up Jimenez as well as Koksu big time, but he's got to find a way to beat up on Mourinho's Roma, and that's going to be a whole lot tougher than advertised.
It's going to be very, very interesting. And the last one, Royal St. Gilloise against Leverkusen, 1-1 in the first leg. And Florian Wirtz, once again, showing to the world that he's one of the best football talents in the world, Florian Wirtz. Expect a big move soon after Leverkusen. But I want to see Xabi Alonso playing with him next season too. Generational style of play with Xabi Alonso. I love that manager. So I'm going to go with Leverkusen against Royal St. Gilloise, that is being an unbelievable team this season with Boniface.
It really is. Yeah, man. And that's the thing, is Victor Boniface, like out of nowhere, just got them that goal. And now they're headed back to Belgium, right? This is not at Bay Arena. He did it at the Bay Arena, and he got it done. But I still do believe that the quality and the quality of Xabi Alonso, the quality that's on the pitch, and Flo Wirtz, I think they're going to get it done in Belgium. And I think Bayer Leverkusen, who is one of the most exciting teams in all of German football right now, if not in the remaining teams in the Europa League, I think you're right. Bayer Leverkusen will advance. But Teddy Tuma, the glue that keeps things running at Union Saint-Gilloise, Victor Boniface, I would expect him to probably be in a Brighton shirt in the very near future, and joining his compatriot Simon Adingra there. And I mean, if you see a mass exodus at Brighton this season, they're going to need to fill some spots, especially if they can't keep hold of Evan Ferguson for much longer. But Boniface has been phenomenal for them, and they're going to need that again if they're going to beat Leverkusen. But I still believe Leverkusen moves through, and we've got a Feyenoord for me. Feyenoord Bayer Leverkusen semifinal
against and Sporting against Man United. That would be historical. The Europa League predictions. That we're very optimistic on Sporting. Juve fans will be going crazy because this is the only way they'll get Champions League football. Juve is through the Champions League. So pressure is on Paul Pogba that he's starting to get minutes. Vlahovic, Chiesa, Bremer, all these top world-class players. So tell us down below, do you agree with our Europa League predictions? Because we want to see your thoughts about this one, okay? Champions League and Europa League predictions. But we mentioned briefly about Benfica not being able to, in the last 3 games, show up. What's happening with Arsenal? We're having the Arsenal are bottling the Premier League?
And the worst of it is they had 2-0 leads in each one, right? The last 2 games. And not only to do it, I believe it was to Liverpool, right? The last time. And then it was West Ham most recently. So you're talking about an inner city rival when it comes down to that.
It's the first time ever that Arsenal drop points in 2 games when they're winning 2-0. Like, it's the first time ever that they drop from a 2-0 lead in 2 consecutive games.
That's crazy. But like here's the weird thing, right? If at the beginning of the season, again, based on Arteta's goal and his stated, expectations of what Arsenal can do this season, Arsenal's 4 points away of securing, I believe it's their first Champions League football since 2016-2017 season or 2017-2018 season. So that in and of itself is great. But yes, you have a pinky on the trophy right now. You've got a pinky finger on the trophy. And you just are the wrong time not to be cohesive, the wrong time to have drops in form, minor drops in form. But that's literally how championships go down the drain.
It's
Those little drops of form. And Bukayo Saka, I mean, I feel for the guy, but yeah, missing a penalty, that's kind of tough.
It's true. And when Arsenal lose to Sporting, the momentum starts to get bad. You need to win games. The culture needs to be going up. And you could see, like, the off ball, the time of reaction of the Arsenal players is taking longer. If you see that Saka missing the pen, the reaction of the Arsenal players was the feet. The feet off ball. And then they suffered 2 goals. 2 goals. And it's I'm going to give big credit to West Ham. I think they deserve the credit to get that 1 point, needed point in a relegation battle. But Saka needs to do better. Martinelli needs to do better. Champions League, like, champions do better. And then Arsenal team is still developing to become that. So, it's just tough, man. It's just tough to see a team so well organized. Arteta ball is real. And even if they don't win the Premier League and they get the second spot, it still is real. And it's still, the rebuild doesn't stop. He said it was phase 3. I want to see Arsenal in phase 5. World-class players all around. And I believe Arteta can do that, okay? So, but it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough.
Has anyone asked Arteta how many phases there are? Or is he just making it up as he goes along?
I don't think he is, though. I really don't, because
no, I don't think he is either. That's just a joke, because they have made such massive strides this season. They've also identified probably their depth concerns. They've identified, where they need to strengthen, and where they need to maybe create more competition when it comes down to it. I know you guys probably talked about it recently, right? But we'll talk about it a whole lot more as we get much closer to the transfer window.
Like a Tielemans would have been perfect.
Yeah, Tielemans would have been great. I mean, you've got the 6 in line if you believe Partey is healthy and going to stay healthy. But yeah, I don't know, like an Alexis McAllister would actually fit really, really nicely.
McAllister, yes, but I love Xhaka's passion. I love Xhaka's enthusiasm playing leadership. But for me, Caicedo would be better. McAllister would be, but Caicedo definitely would be better as a box-to-box role. And Declan Rice would be better. So that's a role that Arsenal will have to improve next to Thomas Partey. Xhaka is a good player to be involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he's getting a little older. He's not that old. He's also incredibly fit, and he's got no problem running forever and ever and ever. But I like the McAllister over Caicedo, simply because if you believe in Partey, I think Caicedo might be too much a similar player. I think McAllister can shuffle between a 6 and an 8, and as he's shown, his versatility. And I think, believe it or not, even though he's a World Cup champion, I believe Alexis McAllister is probably the cheaper choice here, because that game Caicedo just put in against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge was just otherworldly. I mean, he was everywhere, and he made a tackle. I'm going to say it. He made a tackle on the yank. Caicedo made that tackle on Christian Pulisic. Damn near cut him in half. Okay, and it was a legal tackle. It was a phenomenally well-timed tackle. And our love for him goes back to the Independiente del Valle days, the Ecuador youth team days. And it's just wonderful to see him do this. But anyway, I'm talking about Moises Caicedo, and I should be talking about Arsenal. But I think they're collecting this data. Yeah. They're collecting this data, and Arsenal will be here next year. They will be, I believe, in a title hunt next year as well. And I'm not yet ready. Not yet ready to say, even though Manchester City is charging like a bull, Erling Haaland is charging like a bull, and they are ready to just bust up the China shop. I believe that Arsenal still can get this done. Obviously, the 26th is important.
I don't.
But we got to remember, there's a little interference, man. They got Southampton next. Manchester City does. And they have Sheffield United in the FA Cup semifinals. Now, a lot can happen in those 2 games. They better hope that maybe Erling Haaland gets like a groin strain or something.
Exactly.
Because
mate.
the 26 is where it's done. Whew.
Exactly. It's hope, and it's a hope game for Arsenal fans because I think
It
the
is.
title is all dependent on Man City now. And before this game at West Ham, before the Liverpool game, it was dependent on Arsenal. And we all expect now Erling Haaland and Guardiola to go bold when they face Arsenal in that home game. And their one less game right now is 4 points, but Man City have one less game, and they will beat Arsenal 1-1. So they're actually 2 points ahead in my head. And Arsenal have to go against Newcastle. They'll have to face City, yes. And there's another tough team Arsenal's gonna. I think it's United. I am not sure on that, but I know Arteta has a tougher schedule than Guardiola to win the Premier League title. So that's gonna be very interesting.
I know Arsenal still has Chelsea, but I was about to. Yeah, they're not. They're not really a match.
But my last thing with Man City, I just want to say too, is Kevin De Bruyne has done 15 assists in four Premier League seasons. Yeah. That is historical. That in the past, the only player to have more than 15 assists was in 2 seasons. So Kevin De Bruyne has plus 15 assists in 4 Premier League seasons. That's why he's a world-class player, and that's why he's the captain of Man City, providing those assists to Erling Haaland. Then I'm going to say this. The Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne partnership, when Erling Haaland leaves, because it's inevitable, to Real Madrid or Barca, let's see, it will be seen as one of the greatest duos ever in Premier League history. Ever. And it's not like Kane and Son that haven't won titles. They will win titles. They will win. So I wanted to say that. Because I see people saying, the greatest duo in the Prem, Kane and Son. Like, you can't say that. You can't say that.
Listen, Erling Haaland has 40, I think it's like 40.8% of all of Manchester City's goals this season.
1/3.
Harry Kane has 40.3% of all of Tottenham's goals this season. So, I mean, Harry Kane has meant so much to Tottenham over the years. I think you got to respect the longevity of the Son Harry Kane partnership. When it comes down to it, I don't know. Are we going to see De Bruyne and Haaland for even 2 years? For 3 years? I mean, what are we going to see?
2.
But obviously, we're, Haaland is orchestrating, and De Bruyne, I should say, is orchestrating. Haaland is like, I don't know. He's the closer, right? I mean, they're orchestrating one of the most ridiculous seasons and partnerships in the Premier League that obviously we haven't seen in a very long time, since maybe Son and Kane put together one hell of a season and then they finished second. But listen, I got to ask you, because I think I know the answer, but I just want to get it on video here. Like, Erling Haaland is rewriting the record books, right?
Yes.
But it's very clear, like, if he wins the Premier League, is that enough to make him a Ballon d'Or favorite? Or does he have to? Is it a must? Is it a must that Erling Haaland lifts the Champions League trophy for him to get that Ballon d'Or, even if he ends the season on, like, I don't know, 50 goals?
I still think Messi wins the Ballon d'Or because of the World Cup. I still think they're going to give it to Messi. Even though I think if Erling Haaland wins the Prem and Champions League, I think he'll deserve it more because of the numbers he's going to be putting up in the Prem and in the Champions League too, because I think it will be historic. I think he's got 11 by now, but let's see. But I great question,
Crazy.
man. It's top 3 definitely. Top 3 definitely if he wins one of the trophies. Top 3 player in the world.
How insane was it that Pep Guardiola took him off at halftime?
It's management. It's management. Then he justifies and says, we monitor him 24/7. So Erling Haaland can't catch a break. You know what I mean?
Literally, don't catch that break. Don't break anything. No, but like Erling Haaland, come on. He was very clear to potentially score another goal in that game. And, there's a little something different about sharing the Premier League goal scoring title all time with Mo Salah at 32 and having it all to yourself. Now, I understand there are 8 games left in the Premier League, and it's very, very, very likely to happen. But they also have Southampton coming up. But my goodness, I thought Pep Guardiola, one, it's great, and it's even even better that you have a guy like Erling Haaland. You mentioned this earlier. He celebrates an assist the same way he celebrates a goal. Erling Haaland probably didn't like it, but he gets it. He gets it. He's not going to go yell to Sky Sports that, like, you know, oh, I couldn't. No, I mean, it's the same way Erling Haaland, which just it's bonkers to think Erling Haaland leads the Premier League in big chances missed. He's got 20 big chances missed.
Because he's in the right place at the right time. That's why.
He is. And he misses. He's human in the sense that he misses goals. But the amount of positions that he gets himself into, the amount of chances, really good, clear-cut chances that he puts himself in, you can't replicate that right now in world football. There's nobody else that necessarily could do that. Maybe Lewandowski when he was at his best, Benzema at his best, at his healthiest. But like Erling Haaland is just, I don't get it. I mean, I feel like I went from wanting to be skeptical and critical of Erling Haaland, and now I'm like, hey, rah, rah, rah. But like what he has done this season has desensitized me to the point where it's hard to celebrate his goals. And I say it all the time, and I honestly still don't know how to process it. It's one of the best seasons in world football that we've seen in a very long time.
From a finisher, fucked right there, 22. Hey, Erling Haaland. Premier League talk with Arsenal and Man City. Tell us down below, who do you think will win the Premier League? But we mentioned briefly Brighton, and Brighton did beat Chelsea 2-1. And what I got to say is the Serie masterclass, okay? Brighton this season with the Serie has beaten Chelsea twice. They've beaten Liverpool twice. And they've beaten Arsenal once. The Serie knows what he's doing. And the Brighton list of players. Brighton have let go of Graham Potter as a manager. Cucurella. They've let go of Bissouma. Like, these are top players, and they still get results. They still get results. And the list of players that are right now at Brighton because of recruitment, you have Mitoma, you have Evan Ferguson from Academy, Caicedo, Solly Marsh, the Serbi's doing wonders, Julio Enciso, 9.5 million bargain, Lewis Dunk Academy too, Levi Colville, excellent loan, McAllister, World Cup winner, and Estupinian, an excellent replacement for Cucurella. So elite management by Brighton, year in, year out. And I gotta give credit to Brighton. Gotta give credit.
And oh, by the way, they're in the FA Cup semifinals against Manchester United. Like, this isn't just, hey, they happen to be, creeping up that table. They're 4 points or whatever it is. 4 points, I think, with 2 games in hand of 5th place of Tottenham. And oh, by the way, they're in the FA Cup semifinals against Manchester United. And you know what? Graham Potter deserves some love, I guess, for that. But at the same time, De Zerbi, what a pick. I mean, whoever scouted him and saw the similarities, but also, where he is better than Graham Potter. I mean, to see this guy come from Sassuolo, just come into the Premier League and keep them motoring up the table. It's really impressive. And that's why, like, part of me really does feel like they actually have. And I know you said no the last time, and you were being a negative Nancy to me by telling me there's no way. But I really do believe that Brighton and De Zerbi have a chance at retaining the Caicedos, but at retaining the McAllisters, because they've got such this core, this project, this really interesting. I mean, even Pep Guardiola's out there probably playing head games, but he's out there saying they're the best at build-up in the Premier League. And he's absolutely right. They're phenomenal. They had like 70% possession in the first half against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love it.
They're absolutely unbelievable. I disagree with you with McAllister because I just think McAllister has higher standards. Caicedo, he did sign the paper. He did sign the paper to get that extension. So I could say, look, if Brighton remain with all these players, Caicedo, McAllister, Enciso, Mitoma, I really don't know who's going to sign Mitoma. He's just arrived for 5 million. And Mitoma's one of the best dribblers in the world. Like, insane. And if Brighton keeps all these players, they're definitely going to be a European competition team.
Yeah, but like exactly, and
But,
what does Serbi has done with
Mhm.
Solly March is akin to what like currently Unai Emery is doing with Ollie Watkins, right?
Yep.
Just playing to his strengths, and they have the build out, they have the depth to do that, and their scouting is just spot on. They already have the backup for Caicedo if he goes, and that's Hassan Ayari from the Swedish that they brought in from the Allsvenskan that they brought in for 7 million. He's already got time. They also have Facundo Buonanotte that can play either, I believe, and can be a swap for McAllister.
True.
And if you're Todd Bowley, and you're used to literally yanking everything Brighton does well from Brighton's hands, like a flippin' petulant child, by all means, I'd be looking at their transfer shortlist or watching who they're rumored to get. And I would go after every one of them. Exactly. And if I'm Brighton, I'm putting out a false flag transfer shortlist. I am literally flooding the transfer market with bogus transfer rumors to hope that Todd Bowley goes after somebody that is not actually on their shortlist, because they turn over rocks. They don't look at, the hottest TikTok video and sign them. I'm sorry, Mudryk did get an assist against Brighton, but what they do is they actually turn over rocks and they do some scouting. I love it, and I hope it continues. And long may it not be a one hit. It hasn't been a one hit wonder. Brighton's been something for the last several years, and I hope it continues. I love it. I'm a fan.
With the statistical analysis of the owner, that's the owner too of Royal St. Gilloise. The guy knows what he's doing. And we're mentioning Brighton beating them 2-1, but we got to say Chelsea. Chelsea, in their last 3 games, 3 losses with Lampard. They haven't scored a goal in their last 4 games. Okay, that hasn't happened since 1993 with Chelsea. So these stats are horrible for Chelsea fans. And I'm going to say Todd Boehly. People judge Todd Boehly because the decision of the manager, he's never done a better one. Let me explain. Thomas Tuchel, he's the manager of Chelsea. Todd Boehly makes the decision of getting another. Is it a better manager? No, it's Graham Potter. Graham Potter gets sacked. Who does he pick to replace him? Is he a better manager? No, it's Frank Lampard. He has to stop this cycle. It has to be a better manager. Like beforehand, everybody should be unanimously saying, better than Frank Lampard. Luis Enrique, Nagelsmann, Zidane. You got so many better options. So let's hope that happens.
Yeah, like Ralph Ragnick wasn't available in consultant, form to bring him in. No, I just don't. Frank Lampard, he's nothing but a bag holder. I actually feel bad for him. I mean, he's just the guy that's going to take all the punches for the foreseeable future. He's literally running interference for Todd Bowley. That's it. He's going to get paid a pretty penny, I'm sure. But like Todd Bowley is finally starting to hear it from the Chelsea crowd because he's making crappy decisions. And this all-star cast of guys that he's brought in, the Lawrence Stewarts, I'm already forgetting names, the guy from RB Leipzig.
Christian.
Yeah. I mean, these guys, either he's not letting them do their jobs, or these guys don't know what the heck is going on right now because he flooded Stamford Bridge with 30 plus new players. And he's going to do it again. He's going to do it again.
Chelsea spent 323 million, last window, and they didn't get a striker. Something that Jean Felix desperately needs, to play his best football. And Chelsea fans must be begging Todd Boehly to get a striker. Next season, they better have leaders too, because the passion, the team spirit, the way the players react off ball, it's not happening for Chelsea. They need to respect the club more. I feel it. And I think it will happen next season with the right appointment of manager. And please, keep Levi Colville Chelsea. This is one of the best young centre-backs out there. And that partnership with Lewis Dunk is going bold in the Prem. Pay attention So Levi Colville, just go back to Chelsea. You're very, very needed.
Oh, well.
We mentioned Tottenham too. Like I have a fact that I want people at home that Tottenham lost to Bournemouth. Okay, 3-2. 95th match winner by Bournemouth. Solanke masterclass in that game. And the first time ever that Bournemouth beat Tottenham in their home. Okay, that's first time ever by Bournemouth. And I gotta say, it's so unfortunate to be Richarlison in the Premier League. 3 goals scored in the Prem, all ruled out from VAR. All ruled out. He has no goal scored because of VAR, Richarlison. So better times will come. And then Juma, in like 50 minutes, he's already got 1 goal. I hope he starts more than Juma. Just want to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Tottenham, Spurs are at the eating their own stage. There are no there's no cares anymore about it. They're still in the running for obviously outright Champions League football. But when it comes down to it, they have Harry Maguired the crap out of David Sid Sanchez. And booing him, I mean, booing your own player. It just, there's stuff like that rankles me. I get being passionate, but like eating your own, turning on your own like that, it just doesn't make much sense. And it makes me not want to root ever for there. We already know the root of Tottenham, why the Spurs can't get over the hump. Right? We already know why.
And Harry Kane.
His name rhymes with Stevie. Okay?
Yeah, that's true. I get you. And Harry Kane too. I think this is going to be the final season of Harry Kane at Tottenham, and how disappointing it is. Richarlison's not doing anything. The manager appointment at Conte didn't go well. Mourinho didn't manage to do anything in the past. It's been so unfortunate for Tottenham fans. They better hope that they're going to sign a manager like Ruben Amorim Tottenham. That's the only savior they can do, because they can sign Ruben Amorim because they can pay the release clause. That's the way they get him, and he would be convinced of being the owner, the decision maker of a top team in London. That's the man you should be heading up, Ruben Amorim, Tottenham fans.
You know, out of all this, because of our FC Wonderkid moniker, I am just more sad that literally Spurs has forgotten about their academy.
Exactly.
You know, like there's just nothing there. They don't want to give any nothing. Okay, I get Harry Winks, fine, whatever. Ollie Skip, fine, whatever. But Troy Parrott's already lost and gone. Nobody knows where he is, right?
Dane Scarlett.
He's on loan. Dane Scarlett, all these names, and they've still got some ballers down there. Alfie Devine,
right?
They do. They got Soonsup Bell, but you know, a lot of people obviously once. Well, anyway, I'm not going to talk about Soonsup Bell and what Chelsea fans think of him. But when it comes down to it, like it's better than they're given credit for. But there's never been a proper avenue, and that is, you know, that's also never going to change until Levy's gone. And it was probably never going to change with Antonio Conte as boss. Let's be honest. But I just think Spurs. Well, I don't know what to do.
They're bottling top 4. And then we see Aston Villa having a big win against Newcastle, a team that I think will end up in top 4. I believe in this Newcastle team, even though they lost to Aston Villa. But I gotta say, Ollie Watkins, since the return of the World Cup, he's one of the best strikers in the Premier League. No doubt. Southgate must call up this man that has been studying the movement of Edison Cavani. Cavani. And Emery, such a football master by putting these methods to Ollie Watkins. I want to say congratulations. It's by no surprise that, and the midfielders too of Aston Villa are so involved in goals. Jacob Ramsey always involved to get that loose ball of Watkins, and they connect so well. So I could see Pot of Sporting ending up at Aston Villa. I could see that.
And just to put numbers to it, Ollie Watkins in his last 12 games has 11 goals, 2 assists. Previously in the Prem, before that, he had 3 goals in his last 18 games. Oof. So I think you might know where something changed in there. I believe a certain Unai Emery came in and Ollie Watkins turned into a stud. He's got 14 goals on the season, and it's wonderful. I remember watching him bag goals for Brentford as they tried to, get promotion to the Premier League. I mean, he's a good guy that they spent a whole lot of money on, and he's now actually starting to really show return on that. Exactly. And they didn't just beat Newcastle; they dropped them. They beat them pretty soundly, and they've now won 7 of their last Premier League games. But I have to do a little shout out here to the old man of the bunch, and I know you've done it previously, but he continues to outperform his age, and that is Ashley Young.
Yes,
Ashley Young does whatever Unai Emery needs him to do. What a team man through and through. Still, he put in a hell of a shift against Newcastle. And it's just great to see him running it back. And maybe Aston Villa, if they get European football out of this, wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be fun to see them back?
And Ashley Young is the top assister ever in Premier League history for a defender, I think.
Right.
For a defender?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I'm not sure. I think Robertson.
Converted defender. But yes.
That's true.
Well, I mean, what a shift. It added like 8 years to his career, right?
True.
The shifting back to defense has been just absolutely bonkers. So whoever decided, I forget who he was under when that happened. Who was it?
Actually, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
I'm not sure. I got to look that up. Yeah. But whoever decided that, they kept Ashley Young again. So there you go.
Those crosses. That's very, very true. And he was a winger for the people at home that don't remember. Ashley Young was a winger at Man United when they got him. So that was back in the day, exactly. And Wilfried Zaha, that is at Crystal Palace. I got to say, Roy Hodgson, 3 games. 3 wins. Roy Hodgson is doing an amazing job at Crystal Palace. And he's doing what he does and is needed for the club. Because Olise, Eze, they needed a man to inspire him. And Roy Hodgson seems to be that guy. Shocked. I'm shocked.
He does.
I never thought I'm going to say that. Oh, that's shocking.
Yeah. Yeah. And who is Patrick Vieira apparently was just interviewed. Who was he interviewed for? One of the vacancies currently, maybe it's Leicester City. Maybe
Tottenham?
It's no, not that big. I think we're looking a little bit down with that. But no, I agree. And by the way, that was one of the best games that Eze has had in a very long time. And there was so much hope for him when he was coming up. Injuries kind of derailed him for a while, but that was a wonderful game over the weekend for him in Palace.
So. I love how you mentioned that. And in the Premier League, I think tell us down below what we have missed about the Premier League and what do you think will happen in the next weeks. Because I was thinking about a player when you were talking about the derailed, but I don't think he really derailed, but it's the Bundesliga here that I'm shooting at. And a team is being derailed. Bayern Munich, a draw that ended up tied. Yeah. But Gio Reyna, that was the player that I was thinking with derailed. Because Greg Berhalter was sacked for the US men's national team because of Claudio Reyna. And I want to give congratulations to that. Because he's the savior of the US men's national team's hopes in 2026. Because with Berhalter, you would go nowhere if he wasn't playing Gio Reyna the way he was. So let's hope in the youth.
And Gio Reyna got his first goal in a while. Yes. It was a great goal. He thought it won the game for them, and then there was a crazy 97th minute equalizer that they couldn't catch points on Bayern once again because they fell asleep at the wheel. But listen, Gio Reyna, there's something going on there under the surface because Aiden Terzic, he hasn't necessarily played him as much as I would have expected him to be playing Gio Reyna, and he's still got, I believe, 6 goals on the season. But Reyna's going through a little bit of a kind of an internal reckoning beyond what Greg Berhalter did and what dirty laundry was aired. But Reyna is young, and we've seen young players mature before and come back stronger and just grow into themselves. And Gio Reyna, you can see it. You can see it when he plays the game of football that he's got a whole lot of talent there. Yeah. It's just whether or not he actually fully realizes it. And in a bad season, he's still got like 6 goals on the season. So
Reyna's competing too with Reus, Julian Brandt, Torgan Hazard, like great names. Yeah. And I really believe long-term Gio Reyna will be the best player of the U.S. men's national team. In my opinion, from the selection of players I see right now in football in 2023 in April, I think it's going to be
Yeah.
Gio.
Oh, well, I think you're right, but I think you're going to find that the generation that's bubbling underneath Gio is going to gonna make people pretty excited.
No,
So we'll
and you
see.
have players like
I'll have some names
Musa,
in the future.
Pepe. You
Oh
have
yeah,
a young striker coming. No, if Balogun picks the US too, you got a lot. You got a lot to
It's
talk
huge.
about. But I want to
Yeah.
say on Dortmund, yes, they
Mhm.
disappointed with that late draw, but we have a lot
Yeah.
of news now on Jude Bellingham's situation. Liverpool
True.
aren't gonna pay the plus 120 million for Jude Bellingham, and we already have news that 2 midfielders will be signed with Jurgen Klopp. Mason Mount, one of them too. That would be very, very interesting. But I really believe that Jude Bellingham is going to go to Man City and join with Erling Haaland, the partner in crime he had at Dortmund. This gives him guarantees. He's going to win Premier League titles. He might win a Champions League title too with Man City and Haaland. And then he can get a move to Real Madrid. So his career, he would still go to Real Madrid afterwards. It wouldn't be just now at 19. Come on. Unbelievable.
You don't think United's still in the running?
If he picks United ahead of City, I don't think Jude Bellingham should do that. Especially seeing if Guardiola stays there long term. So
True.
I would, if I was Jude Bellingham, I would go to Real Madrid. If it was me, I would go to Real Madrid. You have the sun, you have the people, you got good food, you got Chouameni, Camavinga, Modric, Kroos, you got an elite manager. But he's an English boy, and he wants to win the Prem, certainly. And with Man City, he can win multiple Prems. So,
Yeah.
I would understand. But if he was Portuguese, I'd say Real Madrid. I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm joking. But
Yeah,
let's see.
That's going to obviously be one of the largest transfer battles.
United, oh
United.
my days. But just talking transfers, I just want to mention briefly, with the departures of Messi and maybe Neymar at PSG, the transfer policy with Luis Campos and Kylian Mbappe, the CEO at PSG, I'm joking. It seems to be French players only, because midfielders to come in, you got Thuram, Manu Kone, you got Cherki too. I know he's not a midfielder, but he's Frenchman. Colomwani, striker, and Fofana of Monaco, all Frenchmen being linked to PSG. So I think things have changed. Things are going to change too with PSG. Wanted to mention.
And that also tells me that, let's just say Christophe Gaultier is going through a little bit of a hellstorm right now, and maybe rightfully so based on some comments that surfaced and whatnot. But I'm still going to say it. I feel like Gaultier is sticking around at PSG.
I think
he's
so.
got another year.
I
think he's got another year, man. I think he's got another year. We'll see. We'll see. It's just that whole French, build French, right?
Mm-hmm.
That whole build the team French. That screams Gaultier. It really does.
For me, it screams Mbappe. For me, it's Mbappe saying, I want my homeboys. I want a French national team's vibe here. I want Griezmann over here. No, I could certainly see Colomwani going because of Mbappe and Thuram. I think Thuram. And who's the other player mentioned? Moussa Diaby going back to PSG. Academy prospect from PSG, back to his roots with Kylian Mbappe. I could see that happening.
Dumb question, because we're talking about PSG. Is Christopher Nkunku still heading to Chelsea?
I think so, yeah. I think Fabrizio said, here we go. That is factual.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember that. Here we go. No, but I think Nkunku is going to Chelsea, yeah. I think that is a done deal. Just like a done deal of Hendrik going to Real Madrid. Hendrik Santos going to Chelsea. He scored his first goal in Serie A. Vasta Gama. And Vitor Roque, that he might be going to Barcelona. Let's see. But a lot of reasons to watch Brasileirão with these 3 Brazilian wonder kids, man. Hendrik, hey, I'm so excited.
That was a great opening weekend. Great opening weekend with the Brasileirão. And yes, Hendrik, listen, we are forced to document it when one of the most expensive 16-year-old prospects, wonder kids, right, on the planet, has a little bit of a gold drought, right? But it's just as nice to report that, my goodness, he's getting stronger, he's getting smarter, he's starting to actually find the different ways to get on the ball, right? Endrick is coming to with Palmeiras, and it's wonderful to see. So, like I said, leading up to this, he scored on his not his debut, but his season debut in the Brasileirão, and previous to that, he had 2 goals in his last 2 games. So, I think it's 3 in his last 4, and I think Endrick's going to keep cooking for the rest of the season. But I love, as we all do, the Brasileirão because we get to see the next Brazilians get their shots.
And I thought Jorge Jesus was going to coach Flamengo, but they went for Sampaoli. And
Nope.
I don't think that's going to go well. I think Fluminense or Palmeiras are going to win the Brasileirão. You heard it here in episode 101 in April. I'm saying Fluminense are going to have a great season with Marcel. I think it's one of the best Fluminense teams in the past years. And Palmeiras are going to keep this consistency. Abel is unbelievable. Dudu, like the team they have is, I'm shocked with how good Abel is as a manager. And I want to mention, I forgot with Bundesliga, a player that I believe, we talk about Jude Bellingham, Dortmund, Gravenberch. I love to see Gravenberch news going to Liverpool or United or Arsenal. But going to the Prem, having a rejuvenation of his career, like that would be unbelievable. I really rate Gravenberch, and I really hope he makes the right decision in the next club he goes, because he was a baller at Ajax. I wanted to say that.
And if you're going to throw Gravenberch in there, Mazraoui's got to figure out a way out of Bayern. I mean, like ASAP, because clearly it didn't work out. And I'm sure the coaching carousel hasn't really helped at all. But Mazraoui at his best was a phenomenal. I mean, he was linked with Barca at one point, right? I honestly believe like he could obviously help a team. And the fact that he's barely even playing there is just tough to see. But listen, if we are ending things up, right? I do have to give a shout out to Daryl Dike, young striker, U.S. guy. Was just getting back to form after a major injury. And I got to wish him a speedy recovery again. Stay strong, man, because it looks like he did his Achilles in. As West Brom is chasing promotion playoff position. They're pretty far out, but they're trying. And he was in relatively good form, but more importantly, I was excited to see Daryl Dike, still only 21 or 22 years old, big striker, kind of the 9 that could grow into something big. I was really excited to see what the summer was going to look like with him, with the Gold Cup and all that. So Daryl Dike, get better, man, and I don't. You'll probably
be selected
not listening
for World Cup. You'll be selected for the World Cup in 2026.
I hope so.
With hope.
Hope so. He'll get it done. The comeback, he'll be stronger, man.
But you got Pepe and Balogun there too. So strikers coming up for the U.S. men's national team. You're not short. But my last shout to you, my last shout to you in the podcast. I want to give a shout to a World Cup icon from Mexico. That is Guillermo Ochoa, World Cup icon, Mexican World Cup icon. Guillermo Ochoa has 52 saves in his last 13 matches for Salernitana. And Salernitana right now are in a 7-game unbeaten streak. This man is going bold in Serie A. And I gotta say, one of the greatest goalkeepers I've seen in a World Cup, man. So iconic. And he's saving, as we see, Salernitana in Serie A. And my last bold shout is, Lazio have the best defense in Serie A. But Immobile, what a legend for Lazio, that he has scored in 7 consecutive Serie A seasons, plus 10 goals for Lazio. That is iconic, and only the likes of, I think Del Piero have done that. He is with those names. That is very, very bold. I wanted to give a special credit to Immobile.
Massive consistency, and it's weird that you brought that up. Although understandably so, because of how good Lazio has been as of late. Ciro Immobile was just in the car crash, so it seems he's in good condition, is what it sounds like. But all the best there in terms of a recovery as well. I don't know if it's going to keep him out of the rest of the season or what the deal is going to be. But he was apparently in a car crash. But he is, for all intents and purposes, I've heard he's in good condition.
Where was this? When did this happen? This must have happened 1 hour ago or 2.
I'm literally looking at it right now. I was like, because I saw something out of the corner of my eye, a notification pop up, and And that was right before we went on, and I was like, holy crap. And then you brought him up, and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. But it's saying, yeah, he's got some rib injuries, but he should be fine.
That wasn't planned, as you can see, people.
That was not planned.
I had no idea that had happened. And let's hope that he can go bold, because they're in the top 3 race, and Lazio right now are the best team in second. I think they're like 6 points ahead of Roma. I'm not sure on the specifics. But people, if you're listening until now, thank you so much for going bold and listening to episode 101. And please do not forget to like this video, people. Like episode 101. And again, thank you for going bold, people.